What's up, everyone? We're all here, and we're just here to hang out. And also talk a little bit about gaming health, talk a little bit about how we can help River with any issues he's dealing with from playing too much Fortnite, all right? From cranking too many 90s, too many triple edits, you know how it is. We'll show you how this guy got first in All-Stars. We'll show you the body that got first in All-Stars. Let's start by talking about what are the main areas where you feel any stiffness at all, or any discomfort.
Yeah, my back shoulder blade from like doing this.
Okay. Or show me exactly where. Let's turn around and show the cam. Alright, where?
It's like right here.
Here?
Show my shoulder blade.
Yeah. Right over here.
Yeah. Yeah, some lower back pain.
Okay, so occasional low back, but primarily here.
Yeah. Sure.
When do you feel it here?
When I'm like doing this too much.
How much is too much? Like
probably like 15 minutes.
After 15 minutes, only in creative?
No, just like doing straight, yeah.
So you can sit. So so he feels it in that region that we showed, and he feels it after 15 minutes or so of creative. How bad is it? 0 to 10.
It's like tingling. It's weird, but it's pretty bad.
Like if 0 is not tingling at all, 10 is completely numb, or there's a dart in your eyeball.
6.
It's a 6. Okay. 6. And so when you play, what about when you play arena? Do you feel it out?
No.
Okay.
No.
So hopefully you guys can tell there's a difference when you play something that is higher intensity, creative versus an arena game. And so he feels it a lot more. So we're gonna look into some things specific to that region to identify what the impairments might be. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at how his mid-back moves and actually show you. So we're gonna actually move this table back a little bit. You're gonna sit on that edge. And we're gonna show you how well his mid-back moves. We're gonna have him sit facing the wall here. Right over here, yep, good. And then you're gonna cross your hands like this, or interlock your fingers behind your neck, good. Feet flat on the ground. Okay. Good, okay. So he's gonna sit up tall here, elbows together, like this, as close as you can. Okay. Good. And then now try to bring your elbows as far as you can towards the ceiling. So wait. Being close, yep, good. Keep them close and bring it all the way up. So look at his back. This should be arching, but it's completely straight. It's like an ironing board here. We can play beer pong on this back because of how straight it is. Normal range of motion allows the elbows to go all the way up towards the ceiling. And I feel some resistance here, some actual tissue block here. It should be all the way up here. And you should see a little more extension. So there's some limitations there. And then, so what I also want to show you guys, he can face the camera again, feet over on this side. You're gonna cross your shoulders, again, sitting upright, feet flat on the ground. Good. Cross your shoulders like this, sit up tall. Good, and then rotate as far as you can to your right. Okay, good. Okay, you see that he can get roughly to 90 degrees, right? Good, although he's kind of tilting over. And now let's rotate to the left. So, good, sitting up tall, rotate as far as you can to your left. While it might look similar, there's a slight difference in how much you can rotate towards the left. So rotate as far as you can. Okay. Good. So does one side feel more stiff?
This hurts.
Yeah, this one hurts, right? Okay, and then go into the other side again. Okay, so rotating. What do you feel this?
Middle of my leg, it's fine.
And then when we were rotating to the left, you felt more like,
yeah, no, like lower here.
Got it. Okay, and then let's show them how you actually set up when you're playing. So if we're facing if this is where his monitor is, and you're gonna face that way again and showcase, how do you set up in front of your computer?
Yeah, so like my monitor to the left, so like my body's angled this way.
Got it. So do you feel like you're slightly rotated here?
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, my chair is rotated, so not really, but.
Okay. And then just imagine like the setup in front of you, how you would hold your arms up. The exact setup, yeah. So hopefully you guys can see this old man rounding here. And that definitely contributes to the fact that he can barely get into full extension for his mid-back or his thoracic spine. Okay, so we're actually gonna look into his mobility by doing some manual assessment of his mobility of his mid-back, and I'll talk through what I'm seeing here. All right, we're actually gonna feel to identify where he actually has a stiffness from his segment. So there are certain landmarks that I can feel to identify where I'm starting. I start at C7, T1 here. So there's 12 segments of the mid-back that we're looking, that we're gonna explore in terms of stiffness. Because he feels most of his stiffness on this side and in this region, we can identify what's stiff. So he actually feels it more on his left side over here. And he also, if you guys remember, he has a left slight rotation because of his monitor. Yes, he faces it with his keyboard, but it's possible that he has a slight left rotation, which means that if you guys are looking from this angle, this side is going to be coming up the whole time, and that's going to put sustained pressure on some sliding joints on this side of his mid-back, which will lead to increased stress over time. You can think of like, if I hold my finger in this position for 8 hours, that's gonna feel fucking terrible, right? It's gonna feel bad here. In the same way, because he's slightly rotating and he has that rounded position when he sits, it's putting excessive, what we call tensile stress or pulling stress on this joint here. So that's also why he's feeling that it's a little stiff. So if we move down, oh, okay, this barely moves, great. And you're how old? He's 19 and it feels like I'm working on a 50-year-old's back. Falconer, you got competition, bro. You got competition on this man's back. Oh my God, it's stiff. Okay, so I'm actually gonna get to work on this and then show you guys if he can get increased extension as we, after we perform some interventions. But before we get to that, I wanna look at some of his mobility for his shoulder as well. Okay, so the first muscle I'm looking at is the pec minor. It's how much of his shoulder is elevated off of this desk over here. And if I press down here, not too bad. You can get all the way. It gets stuck a little bit. You feel that too, right?
That's why
It gets stuck. And then here, his pec major. We looked at his sternal fibers, clavicular fibers here. Okay, not too bad. And then we look at his lat. You can't really see here, but we're gonna see when this inferior angle or bottom of the shoulder blade lifts up and stops here. Then I'm gonna block it to assess for another muscle. Yo, this is stiff. This is his right side, it stops here. And you feel that, and then so I'm gonna do pec minor first. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
You see how this side gets stuck?
Yeah.
This side goes all the way down.
Yeah.
Right? And then pec here. And then head over there. There we go. Okay, and then the moment of truth. How does this side feel compared to his left?
A lot better.
Look how far he gets. I'm legit blocking it. Look how far he gets. Okay, so I'm blocking his shoulder blade, so I'm assessing for a muscle called the teres major. I'm blocking it, and then I move up. He feels that instantly, so it stops me here. You got stiff shoulders, you should be getting all the way here. And this is one of the most common areas of stiffness for gamers, because we're always like this. If we have internally rotated arms like this, that muscle, this teres major muscle, gets shortened. So I will show him a stretch later, but let me actually get to work on his back. So we're gonna do some manipulation.
Every so often, where you start, or the way that it works is that you create a gas bubble within the joint. That's the crack that you actually hear. It's kind of like taking a wet glass off of a table. It'll kind of like pop, and there'll be little bubbles inside that water on the puddle. But you can only do that every so often because it takes a while for that gas to be reabsorbed into the fluid in the actual joint itself.
So I worked on his mid-back, and now feet flat. You're gonna do the same test. Interlock your fingers behind your neck. Yep, good. Elbows together. Good, and then bring your elbows as far up as you can. There we go. You guys now see that there's a slight arch here. We got some mobility, and look how much higher here. We'll do a before, after. We'll freeze frame it when we edit this video, and you'll see that he gained more mobility. But just the fact that I did this doesn't mean that, hey, all of a sudden he's good. Doesn't mean that I want to see him all the time so that I can help him work on this. It requires that he pays a little more attention to his posture, right? He needs to be begin to sit in this position, and it'll probably feel weird for you in the beginning, but it also allows the muscles of his shoulder to begin to work better, as well as make sure that he doesn't feel that pain over here as much, because it's often this rounded position. So you can round as much as you can, and then the slight rotation that leads to an imbalance that will irritate certain joints here. So he needs to pay more attention here by bringing his chest up. Yep, and then just a slight tilt back of the shoulder.
Also sit on my left foot. Like the first 2 years I played, I sit with my foot up like one leg.
Got it.
You know what that is?
Yep. So that can also contribute to a little more rounding, right? He's so used to this rounding position here. So he needs to get used to arching and extending his back a little more. This will also help him do a little better in the gym, 100%. Because especially with upper extremity movements, pull movement, push movements, push and pull. You need to have this set back. And I'm sure you do, but this will be something you have to change outside of just, hey, I come here, or you come here and I work on your back.
This is the pain pill. Weighs 45 pounds, made of a distilled barbell. So they boil down a barbell and reshape it into this lovely shape here. It's made by KABUKI Strength Lab up in Portland, Oregon. And essentially, we're going to use it for something called, or they call it body tempering, but it's essentially just deep pressure to the muscles, which causes reflexive relaxation and helps loosen up some of those stiff muscles. When you have mobility deficits, a lot of the times, you get stiff muscles all through the back here, all up and down the back like this. These muscles get super tight, and especially right through there, it seems like he has some tight muscles. So we're going to take this, and this is just one of many different things that we use to create relaxation in the muscles before we work on stability.
So how's it feeling, River?
That's good. I tried doing the foam at the gym.
Got it.
I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just kind of go on.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to show you formal exercise that you can do. So he's getting some deep pressure here on his muscles. Do you feel any change at the moment?
Yeah, it's feels tight. My hip.
I'm going to take this pill like this, go straight down, right on all those muscles between the shoulder blades.
Per the theme of a lot of our streams, you always have 2 portions. Portion number 1 is mobility, right? So we identify that the River has mobility deficits of his thoracic spine or his mid-back. And 2, on top of these mobility deficits, he also likely has some, likely needs to perform some exercises to work on that mobility. And I would say in general, because he exercises, he probably doesn't need to work too much on the stability because he is doing a lot of resistance training at the moment. Okay, so let's retest.
Up on up.
And then we're gonna actually go through some exercises to help you maintain that mobility.
Hands behind your head.
Yeah.
Try to get those elbows up to the ceiling.
Yep.
Let's see it.
Let's see. There we go. Look at that. You guys see that? You guys see the difference here? And what do you feel? You feel like you can move a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. And so, one thing for any lifter as well, your mid-back position is key here. Right? It allows you to get under the bar if you're doing an overhead press. It allows you to perform a front squat. So that's one key thing that he needs to work on in order to make sure that he minimizes some of that discomfort. So he can, while he can see us, we also want him to be independent with exercises. So we're gonna show you a couple exercises to do to maintain this mobility. So this is an easy exercise you can do where you're on your side. He's gonna bend his knees. He's gonna be on his side here like this. Yep. And then he's gonna have his arms together in front of him like that. Good. And he needs to start in a position where his back is straight. So you want to start with it straight. Good. And hopefully there's enough space here where you're gonna open up and rotate as far as you can. And you should feel some stiffness in your mid-back. Ideally, you want to keep one side down so he can feel that stretch in his mid-back. And you also got some cracks there, right? Good. And so he's trying to open it up as much as possible. We call these open books. You can do this in standing as well, right? So if I'm here, I have my left leg in front of me, I can do an open book by twisting to the left side. So you see how he's focusing a lot on his shoulder? He wants to actually focus more on his mid-back, right? So it's not leading, it is leading with your arm, but you want to make sure that your mid-back rotates. So that's your mid-back mobility. That's your mid-back mobility. So that's one option. What's another option for thoracic spine mobility?
You're gonna put your hands behind your back like this, kneel down in front of like a table or something like this. Hands are gonna be on there, and you're gonna do little cat camels like this.
Right.
You're arching your back.
Boom. Yes, yeah. He has two exercises he can do. One being the open books, so he can work on his overall mobility. You can do that between your games, ideally because you're sitting for long periods of time. And then on top of that, you need to pay attention so that you're not sitting like this all the time. Right? This is one of the main reasons why you have that irritation here. You have to begin to work like this. And so it's easy for me to just say that, oh yeah, just fucking sit up. But instead, we want to leverage a little bit of behavioral science. So you can attach reminders for yourself after every 2 games, after every scrim block, after every 3 scrims or deaths off spawn. You create whatever rule for yourself that works to remind yourself, okay, just chest up. Also, if you guys remember, he had this stiff muscle here, so I'm going to show him one stretch that he can do with that. If you have stiffness on this side, what you want to do is you want to lean over to the left, good, and then you want to try to bring this part of your pelvis towards the right. So you're leaning like this. So you feel it all along the right side here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah? Okay, and if you actually tighten your stomach a bit, you'll feel it a little more. And so you're trying to really elongate the side, right? You feel it all through here. Right, so another way that you can do this, and ideally hold it for about 20 to 30 seconds, you can hold a wall and then lean back and kind of tilt and feel that same thing. I've posted about this kind of stretch many times. Yeah.
I think I've done it.
Yeah, so you can do it against a doorway. I might have given it to you before through other things. So just to review, right? He has this discomfort in his back right here. And a main reason is because when he sits, he is just super rounded, right? And so he needs to work on sitting a little more upright with his chest up. Boom. And then work on doing the mobility exercises in between the open books and then the mid-back extension that Elliot was demonstrating. So that's sort of an overview of how we typically approach working with gamers if we're with them in person. Again, if you want something that's a little more specific, you can reach out to us. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Any last questions, last comments, last thoughts? What's a motivational thing that you tell your chat? Say, yo, this is River.
If you have to question if you want it, you don't really want it. All right, that's my word of
There
advice.
it is. That's
Big
the
facts
end.
right there.
That's the end.
All right, everybody. Thanks
River
for tuning
out.
in. Make sure you follow us on socials.
That's right.
Out.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need individualized coaching for your injuries, sleep, exercise, or nutrition, you can check out our Patreon. And of course, you can catch us live on YouTube or Twitch. Play more, hurt less.